Okay, so I want you to picture something with me for a second.
I'm with you.
You're walking through a market. It could be anywhere, really. Maybe Kathmandu, maybe some, high-end yoga studio in Los Angeles. It doesn't matter.
Right.
You see that string of beads,
Mm-hmm.
the mala. It's iconic. You've got the tassel, the guru bead, and then the string itself. And if you actually stop to count them, which, let's be honest, most of us don't, you will find exactly 108 beads
Every single time.
every time. And
Yeah.
for the longest time, I filed this away under arbitrary religious tradition,
Mhm.
like why a baker's dozen is 13 or why we knock on wood. It's just what people do. It's tradition.
And it is so easy to write it off like that, as ritual or just some number pulled out of a hat by a sage in a cave 5,000 years ago.
Exactly.
But that's the mistake we often make with ancient traditions. We assume they're arbitrary because we've lost the manual. But when you really dig into this number 1088, you stop seeing it as just a spiritual symbol. You start seeing it as a coordinate, a convergence point where hard mathematics, astronomical data, and even biological science all seem to crash into each other.
See, that is where I get skeptical. I'm always a little wary when people try to retrofit science into spirituality.
I get that.
It can feel like trying to force a square peg into a round hole.
Yeah.
Are you saying this number 108 is objectively woven into reality, not just subjectively decided on?
I am saying that the data suggests a cosmic calculus that is just startlingly precise. We aren't talking about vague metaphors here.
Okay.
We're looking at a number that stretches, quite literally, from the double helix of your DNA to the precise positioning of the sun and moon. It is a code that repeats on the macro scale and the micro scale.
Cosmic calculus. That is a heavy phrase, so let's test this code. If we're going to decode the reality behind 108, we need to look at the hard facts.
Absolutely.
I see we have data here attributed to NASA, principles of number theory, and even sound frequency analysis. If this is a universal blueprint, it should hold up to scrutiny.
I welcome the scrutiny. In fact, that is the best way to approach this. We need to understand why those ancient observers who didn't have telescopes or calculators landed on this specific integer.
Right. Was it divine inspiration?
Or was it actually a form of observational science that we are only just now confirming with our modern tech?
Let's start with the biggest canvas we have then, the sky. You mentioned NASA data. Usually when we talk about ancient astronomy, we're thinking about people connecting dots to make pictures of bears and hunters.
Right, constellations.
But you're talking about actual measurements.
I am. Let's look at the macro view, the relationship between the Earth, the Sun, and the Moon. Now, we all know the Sun is huge and the Earth is tiny in comparison, but there is a very specific ratio regarding their size.
Okay.
If you take the diameter of the Earth and you multiply it by 108, you get the diameter of the Sun.
Wait, hold on. The sun's diameter is 108 Earths.
Approximately, yes. It's about 109 if you want to be really pedantic with modern variances, but it is strikingly close to 108. But that is just size. Now look at distance. This is where it gets weird. If you take the diameter of the sun and line up 108 of them side by side, that line spans the distance from the Earth to the sun.
So the sun is roughly 108 Earths wide, and it's sitting roughly 108 of its own widths away from us.
Correct.
That is a very clean geometrical relationship for what I thought was a chaotic universe.
It is remarkably clean, but here is the kicker. Let's pivot to the moon.
Okay.
The moon is tiny compared to the sun, and it's much closer, but the ratio holds. The distance from the Earth to the moon is approximately 108 times the moon's own diameter.
Okay, I have to push back a little here. Orbits aren't perfect circles, right? They're elliptical.
A very valid point.
The moon gets closer. The Earth gets further from the sun. Doesn't that break the math?
The distances do fluctuate. We have apogee and perigee, sure. But 108 represents the average distance, and more importantly, it represents the specific distance required for a very specific phenomenon.
Which is...
Think about the total solar eclipse.
Ah, right, where the moon blocks out the sun.
Have you ever really thought about how improbable a total eclipse is? The sun is 400 times larger than the moon.
400. That's huge.
So for the moon to perfectly cover the sun, not just block it, but fit over it like a custom lens cap, it has to be exactly 400 times closer to Earth.
And that alignment.
It relies entirely on this 108 ratio.
So if the ratio was off, say if the distance was 115 times the diameter, what would happen?
Then the moon would look too small. You'd get that ring of fire eclipse, but you wouldn't get the total blackout where the corona becomes visible.
And if it was, say, 90?
Too big, it would just blot out the whole spectacle.
We're essentially living in the Goldilocks zone of cosmic geometry, We're on the only planet we know of where the two primary celestial bodies appear to be the exact same size in the sky.
And the ancient texts, like the Vedas, they actually nailed this.
The Vedas state this ratio explicitly. Without lasers, without satellites, they understood that the universe was operating like a machine with these precision gears. That moves the conversation from just random chaos to something like cosmic order.
Exactly. It implies a design, or at least a fundamental mathematical structure, that dictates how these bodies settled into their orbits.
It's like finding a signature in the corner of a painting. The spacing isn't random. Okay, so we have the astronomical macro view. The sky is literally built on a grid of 108. But we also have to look at the number itself. Does 108 have any special properties just as a number? Or is it just a measurement?
Oh, it is absolutely special in number theory. And this brings us to the concept of the Harshad number.
Harshad, I looked this up. That's Sanskrit for joy giver, right?
Correct. Harshad means joy. So a Harshad number is a number that brings joy.
I like that.
But mathematically, it means an integer that is divisible by the sum of its digits.
Okay, walk me through that.
Take 108. The digits are 1, 0, and 8. Add them up. What do you get?
1 plus 0 plus 8 is 9.
9, right. Now, is 108 divisible by 9?
Let's see. 9 times 10 is 90 plus 18. Yeah, it's 9 times 2, so 12. It divides evenly.
Exactly. So it's a Harshad number. It's in harmony with its own parts. But you just touched on the real magic here, the number 9.
9.
In this cosmic calculus, 9 is the king. It represents completeness or perfection.
Why 9? Just because it's the biggest single digit.
Because it is, in a way, indestructible. It has this self-reflecting nature. No matter what you do to it, it comes back.
Indestructible is a strong word for a number. Prove it.
Okay. Multiply any number by 9. Any number at all. Then take the result and add up the digits of that result until you get a single digit.
And you're saying it'll always be 9.
You will always end up back at 9.
Okay, I'm going to try to break this. I'm grabbing my phone calculator. Let's pick something messy. 57.
57, okay.
57 times 9 is 513. Okay. So 5 plus 1 plus 3 is 9. That's weird.
Let's go bigger.
All right, let's do 8,642 times 9.
Right.
That is 77,778.
Right, as sevens.
Okay, so 7 times 4 is 28, plus 8 is 36. 3 plus 6 is 9.
It works every time.
That is actually kind of spooky. It's like a boomerang.
It is a mathematical constant, and the ancient interpretation of this is fascinating. They saw this as proof that universal energy is never destroyed.
It only changes form.
Exactly. Just like the number 9 disguises itself in these larger numbers, 513, 77,778, but eventually when you break it down, it returns to its original wholeness.
So 108 reduces to 9. And the sun's diameter, the moon's distance, they all lock into this 108 grid. But the ancients didn't just measure distance with this, did they? They used it to measure time and space.
They mapped the entire sky with it. Think about the zodiac. You have 12 signs.
Aries, Taurus, etc.
And in Vedic astronomy, you have 9 planets, or grahas. What is 12 times 9?
That's 108.
Check. Now look at the nakshatras, the lunar constellations. There are 27 of them.
27.
And each nakshatra is divided into 4 padas. You can think of them as quarters or steps. So 27 constellations times 4 steps.
That's, well, 25 times 4 is 100. Plus 2 times 4 is 8. 108 again.
Exactly. So whether you look at the solar zodiac or the lunar mansions, the math brings you back to 108.
It suggests that no matter how you slice the pie of the universe, the geometry remains consistent.
It's really starting to feel less like a coincidence and more like a blueprint.
Yeah, it is. We've got the physical layout of the solar system, and we've got the mathematical map we use to navigate it, both 108. But here is where the research takes a turn. It moves away from things we can see and count and moves into things we can hear. The vibration of the universe.
Yes. Physics tells us the universe isn't static. It's vibrating. Everything is frequency. And in sound healing and physics, there is a lot of talk about 432 hertz.
Right, I've seen this online. The miracle tone. The natural frequency. People claim listening to music at 432 hertz calms them down.
It's often called the natural frequency of the universe. But how does that connect to 108?
That's what I was going to ask.
Well, think about the geometry we just discussed. We talked about the 4 padas, or quarters of the sky. The number 4 represents stability. The square, the 4 directions, the 4 seasons.
Okay, a fundamental structural number.
Exactly. So if you take that natural frequency of 432 and divide it by that fundamental number of 4, what do you get?
400 divided by 4 is 100. 32 divided by 4 is 8. 108.
Precisely. So 108 isn't just a distance. It's a harmonic. It's a quarter note of the universal hum, essentially.
That puts chanting in a whole new perspective for me.
Hmm.
Because when people chant Om or a mantra 108 times, I always thought it was just, a test of endurance.
Can you sit still this long?
Yeah. But you're implying it's more like tuning an instrument.
That is the perfect analogy. The text suggests that Om isn't just a word, it's a mathematical pattern of sound waves. From a quantum perspective, repeating a mantra 108 times is about synchronization. It's about syncing your brain's alpha waves with that fundamental frequency.
So if your brain is full of static stress, anxiety, the grocery list chanting 108 times is like turning the dial on an old radio until you cut through the noise and lock into the clear signal.
Yes, resonance.
Mhm.
If you vibrate at the same frequency as the larger system, you experience less resistance. That is what flow is. And ancient musical principles considered this rhythm of 108 to be the most suitable for healing. If the body is out of tune, which is literally what dis-ease means, a lack of ease,
Right.
using the correct frequency can theoretically bring it back into harmony.
Which brings us perfectly to the final piece of this puzzle. We've looked at the stars, the macro view, we've looked at the math, we've looked at the sound. Now we have to look inside. The source material leans so heavily on that phrase as outside, so inside.
The microcosm and the macrocosm. If the universe is built on a blueprint of 108, and we are products of that universe, logic dictates we should be built on that same blueprint.
And this is where we get into the biology, or I guess the energetic biology of the human body. The text mentions nadis. For those who haven't done a deep dive into Ayurveda or yoga, what exactly is a nadi?
Think of nadis as the wiring of the body. You have veins for blood, nerves for electrical impulses. Nadis are the channels for prana, or life force energy.
Okay, like the meridian system in acupuncture.
It's a very similar concept. The texts state there are 72,000 of these channels running through the human body.
72,000. That is a massive network, like
Yeah.
a city grid. But where does our magic number 108 fit into a grid of 72,000?
It fits at the interchange, the central station. The texts specify that while there are thousands of minor channels, there are exactly 108 major nadis that converge to connect directly to the heart chakra.
So the heart isn't just a pump in this model, it's a junction box.
Correct. Imagine a massive highway system. You have 108 major freeways all meeting at the city center. If those roads are clear, traffic flows. The city is alive. If those 108 interchanges are blocked by stress, trauma, poor lifestyle, the energy stagnates.
The heart shuts down emotionally and physically. That makes the Malavides make so much more sense now. If you are touching each bead and taking a breath, you aren't just counting. You are essentially doing a system check on each of those 108 lines.
You are clearing the traffic. The source mentions that controlling breath in counts of 108 is a specific technique used to activate these energy centers. It's a way of hacking the nervous system to align with that cosmic geometry we talked about.
And it connects to consciousness too, right? The notes mention the Upanishads.
Yes, the 108 Upanishads, these are the ancient philosophical texts. But they aren't just seen as books, they are viewed as keys.
Keys to what?
The tradition says there are 108 distinct layers of consciousness, or 108 steps, that one must climb to reach full awakening.
I love that image. We're like these onions of awareness, and we have to peel back 108 layers to get to the core.
And the synthesis of all this, the distance to the sun, the division of the zodiac, the vibration of sound, and the channels in the heart, is that the human body is a microcosm.
We're not separate from the universe.
We are a scale model of it. The distance between the Earth and Sun follows the same core ratio as the energy channels in your chest.
That is a profoundly heavy thought.
Yeah.
It really challenges the modern idea that we are just these isolated biological accidents walking around on a rock.
It does.
It makes you feel implicated,
Yeah.
like we are part of the architecture.
You are the architecture. And I think that answers the question of why. Why did the sages choose 109? They didn't choose it. They didn't invent it.
They observed it.
They observed it. They looked up, they looked in, and they saw the same pattern staring back at them.
So let's bring this all home. We started this deep dive with a simple string of beads, just wooden string. But we've ended up exploring the mechanics of a solar eclipse, the indestructible nature of the number 9, the geometry of sound waves, and the anatomy of the human energy system. It's quite a journey for a 3-digit number.
It connects the dots in a way that very few things do.
It really does.
Yeah.
And the core insight here seems to be that 108 acts as a bridge. It's the translation key between the physical world and the spiritual world.
Yes. When someone meditates on 108 or chants 108 times, they aren't just performing a hollow ritual, they are aligning.
Aligning.
They are tuning their personal instrument to match the orchestra of the universe. It shifts the practice from superstition to synchronization.
It definitely changes how I'm going to look at those beads next time I see them at the market. It's not just jewelry, it's a calculator for the cosmos.
And I think there is a final, somewhat provocative thought to leave you with. We've talked about how the number is in the sky and it's in your body.
Right. As outside, so inside.
But take that a step further. If the code for the sun and moon is written into your own heart, are you just observing the universe?
Bro.
Or are you the universe observing itself?
Whoa. That's the mirror.
That is the mirror. If the math is the same, the distinction between you and it starts to dissolve. You are not just living in the universe.
You are a universe.
You are a universe, constructed on the rhythm of 108.
I think that is the perfect thought to chew on. The next time you see the number 108, maybe on a license plate, a receipt, a yoga studio sign, don't just ignore it. Pause.
Pause and recognize the pattern. It might just be the universe winking at you, reminding you of what you really are.
Find yourself and know the truth. Thanks for taking this ride through the cosmic calculus with us.
Always a pleasure.
Keep looking up and keep looking in. We'll see you on the next deep dive.